everyone. I'm Yvonne Schwab, ACG Silicon Valley's CEO. Thank you for joining us today for the ACGSV CTO Innovation Circle event, The Power of NFTs and Metaverse in Action. If you are new to ACGSV, we are the leading business-to-business networking organization in Silicon Valley, providing connections, thought leadership, and enabling personal and organizational growth. With 8 different circles focused on different industries and interests, ACG offers an array of networking opportunities. With our over 14,000 members in 59 chapters across the world, ACG provides local connections with a global reach. We are super excited to start offering face-to-face events again. On March 24th, we will have a networking happy hour at Ludwig's in Mountain View. Join us for some in-person networking with like-minded folks from our ACG community. Next Tuesday, we partnered with SVDX for an event titled Government Services and Technology, Challenges and Opportunities on the Horizon. We also have our next e-lunch with the ACG California chapters coming up on 3/23. We invite you to visit our website at acgsv.org to see the full calendar of what we have in store for you. Now for today's event, I'd like to thank our CTO Innovation Circle sponsors, Quanta Networks and Squire Patent Box. Without their continued support, we couldn't do what we do. Thank you. Today's event was also made possible by Microsoft and Nova Ukraine and many, many more contributors. Everyone has been a pleasure to work with in organizing this event, and we are very grateful for that. Now, without further ado, let me hand it over to Brett Garston from Quanta Networks, our moderator today. Brett?
Thank you, Yvonne. Fantastic. And thank you so much for your support and your constant help of really inspiring us to make these things happen. We greatly appreciate that. So my name is Brad Garston. I'll be your moderator today. And we're going to, just a small bit of background. I'm from Quanta Networks. I'm a managing partner, and we're a system and data integration company. And today, the key part of the Innovation Circle, and I'm one of the moderators said that, pardon me, CTO Innovation Circle co-chair with Ashley. So today's topic is the metaverse. And we started out in an interesting way, and we started doing some rehearsal around the metaverse. And we quickly discovered that there was need beyond what we were doing with respect to explaining what the metaverse is. So what we found out as I started speaking with Anastasia last week was, obviously with the Ukraine crisis, there's some significant need as it relates to aid. And so we've decided to pivot and shift based on what's possible within the metaverse and what's possible within the decentralized nature of Web 3.0. So based on that, we were able to quickly pivot and move ourselves into really making this contextual and really making this a topic and having a level of unity with our different panelists. So we all quickly came together in a 20 to 30 minute time frame and decided to shift our focus so we could really make sure that we were doing something for good. So we really appreciate you being along for the ride to listen a little bit more about that journey and how it worked and really what we're doing. So that's really a key part and a key aspect here. So I'm going to have Daniel do a quick introduction of the metaverse and just kind of talk to us a little bit about what the metaverse is, and then we can kind of get into some of the journey. Daniel?
Great. All right, thanks, Brad. So I'm Daniel. I go by the online handle of Audio King, ADIOKING. My background, I've been in Bitcoin and crypto since like 2011, 2012, NFTs just in the last year in 2020. And the metaverse is a topic that has definitely confused a lot of people. People don't know the difference between Web3, the metaverse, NFTs, and even Bitcoin, for instance. So to kind of give you an introduction to what the metaverse is, or Web3, I guess I'll start with Web3. Web3 is like everything is connected on the internet through blockchain, while the metaverse is kind of like a new realm of interconnectivity, but based on the internet. And where Web 2.0 is your social media, your Twitter, your Facebook, and those type of things, the metaverse is more interactive, where you can go into three-dimensional areas and you can walk up to people that you don't know because you're all in this area together. And you can trade things, you can explore, you can talk to people, do sales pitches, do music concerts, for instance, in these virtual spaces, and people can go into them and come out of them with ease. So in a nutshell, that is the metaverse.
Perfect. Thank you. That's excellent. And it gives, gives a framework of, kind of what it is, and helps people to understand. It's hard to explain it to anybody because, the digital nature of it. So that's definitely helpful. Yeah. And also, I'm sorry.
Sorry, I think Ready Player One, a lot of people have seen that movie, is probably a great example of what people depict the metaverse as being in the future. We're on our way towards that.
Yep. No, that's great. And I agree. A great piece of film and a great introduction. And also, I just want to be clear that our efforts and focus is humanitarian. So that's the whole emphasis and kind of our driver. And this is not political, and we're not trying to make any political statements. We're just coming together to really help from a humanitarian perspective. And I think that's critically important to understand, so we can really aid the Ukrainian people. So Anastasia, let's have a quick chat about kind of the journey and how we kind of came together on this. Again, I saw that, you were, not doing great on that particular day. And I asked you, hey, how you doing? And you said, not great, not sure if I can join the panel. And I said, well, tell me more. And then you kind of started sharing some of this. So can you elaborate a little bit more on that?
Sure. Well, for everybody who's watching who don't know me personally, I'm Ukrainian. I grew up there, and I've been a part and an active player of a tech and startup ecosystem there from the very early years of Ukraine shaping its own Silicon Valley. And so everything that happened on Thursday for Californians, on Wednesday for Ukrainians, 2 weeks ago was extremely close to my heart. I have family, I have friends, I have team members, and I see firsthand information of what people are going through. So of course, to anyone who is from that part of the world, since Thursday, the world changed for us. And when before we were preparing for Metaverse panel, and it was amazing, exciting, new wave, new technology, new shift that inspires a lot of people, and everybody wants to learn about it. But when the war started, like for me personally and for my friends and colleagues, we could not pretend like nothing is happening. We could not just talk about new trends without acknowledging the fact that people are dying and people are going through very, very hard times right now. And more than that, what really inspired me from the conversations we had with you, Brad, and with everybody who joined, that you guys haven't ignored the issue. You didn't push the agenda of, we have the schedule of talking about Metaverse on Thursday. You actually pivoted 180 and decided to help and build a project. And whatever happened after that is just inspiring and powerful.
Super. No, thank you for sharing. And tell us a little bit about your background and why did you choose to join this panel originally? Like, what do you do on a kind of a daily basis? What's your focus?
I've had a long history of being connected to tech and to specifically blockchain. 4 years ago, I've been running a blockchain company that failed as a startup pretty dramatically. But I knew about blockchain since about 2014. And then in 2016, 17, I had a startup in this niche. And then after that, for the past 3 years, I've been running a company that's called Alinity. We help tech companies and venture funds find capital and do their fundraising. And on the side, as me being somebody who is always chasing trends and seeing trends, I've started working within the digital fashion accelerator as a partner and bringing Web3 tools to the fashion world. And that's kind of how the whole journey of being involved in Web3 digital fashion connected all together, because there are several pieces within this ecosystem, Web3 ecosystem right now. Somebody comes from the art background and they go into NFT. Somebody comes from a business background and they kind of see the whole ecosystem. Somebody comes from trading background and they see the financial aspects of it. Other people come from tech perspective, knowing how blockchain worked and how it was built. Some people come from the organizational structure of decentralized organizations. So that's kind of how this whole community is shaping. It's very diverse, extremely powerful. And my role was basically connecting the dots between tech people, startup world, venture world, digital fashion world, and then art that becomes a centerpiece of it.
Super. And I think we discussed when we kind of did this pivot, how we would really use art and NFTs as a way to generate funds and then have the proceeds go to Ukrainian people. So that was really your vision, and a pretty easy way. I think most people can kind of understand how that works, because that's been something that's been happening. So that's tremendous. Anything you want to add about that?
Yes, I just wanted to say how it kind of appeared. I was contacted by a friend of mine who works within Meta, and I was fundraising on my own, just doing donations and bringing attention to the issue. And he reached out and he said, we have Meta team of engineers and designers who want to do more than just to put, like a sticker on avatar. We want to raise a campaign that's going to cover a massive problem, which is in value, it's estimated to be $1.6 billion of damage that people will go through, economical damage, physical damage. And he said, Andre, his name is Andre, when he reached out, he said, we need to do something big here and we can't do it on our own. How can we unite forces? So then when we had a call, I was like, Brett, there's this opportunity. We're doing this $1 billion initiative. Can you help?
Yeah, no, for sure. And I've seen, governments, the US government is already allocating funds to be able to, support. But I also think to myself, governmental support, while really great, will take a long time, a lot of red tape, and does it really actually get into the people's hands? And this felt to me like something that we can lean in and we can really participate and show how we can, we can make an effect and really help people specifically. So I'd like to switch over a little bit to the project itself, to Marco and Daniel, who really have been doing a lot of the back end work. Marco, you got the Discord server, Daniel, you got the Discord server going and running and moving. And Marco, you've been really driving a lot of the strategy behind, what we're doing and how we're doing and some of the tactics. Can you explain some of the back end pieces there to us? So
sure. Daniel, I'll start and then I'll hand over to you if that's all right.
That sounds good.
So I should probably introduce myself. My name is Marco Rota. I'm the field CTO for media and entertainment in the West for Microsoft. So my job is to work with all of our media and entertainment customers, including our video gaming groups, to basically find issues, find problems that have to be solved, and bring to bear either our first party tools or our third party partners, and solve those problems. So a couple of things. First of all, the pivot was, I think, easier than I thought it would be, because of the fact that I think everyone is aware of what Web3 is, and everyone is aware of the steps that we have to go through. Setting the strategy was really about copying patterns that we've seen work before. Now, I will also say that along the way, we've had some healthy debate about how to do things, but we've also used the concepts of Web3 to actually be able to solve them, in that we've put polls out on a Discord server. We've polled people to actually give us an idea of how to solve a particular problem. So it's not just one person saying, this is what we're going to do. It's the community coming together to be able to solve that, which is exactly what we're trying to do, right? We're trying to help the communities within the Ukraine. I think Daniel has had at least one sleepless night getting the Discord server fully set up. And then, apart from that, it's been truly exciting to be able to pivot from talking about the concepts of the metaverse and actually start using some of the principles that sit behind that to actually be able to bring this together. So super happy, super excited to be part of the group. And my dog is excited too, if you want.
Oh, all right.
Nice.
Yeah, I have to definitely attest to that. In the beginning, it was, hey, Daniel, come speak about Metaverse. We recognize you as an expert. You've been in the field. And then when we pivoted and we started putting things together, I have to say I'm very impressed with just everybody as a whole on this team. I'm usually a lone wolf, but just because I kind of lack that trust in the team and this and that. But let me tell you what, everything we've put together is just fluid and it's working well. We're moving fast and there has not been really any hiccups with the polls and the debates. They last as long as they should and the decisions are made as they should. And definitely incorporating the regular way of how these Web3 and NFT components are launched, along with our own little spice, and then with the goal of fundraising.
Super. No, and it's been definitely refreshing working with such a dynamic team, to kind of move it forward. Carmack, do you want to add a few bits in terms of, obviously you guys are kind of what I call the last 5 miles of really kind of the sort of boots on the ground of getting this distributed, this aid.
Yes. Yes. And first of all, for people not familiar with us, we're Nova Ukraine. We're a nonprofit based out of Palo Alto, California. Nova being Ukrainian for new, so New Ukraine. Obviously, just background on us, so you know how we have the infrastructure in place here, is we were founded in 2014 in the wake of Ukraine's Revolution of Dignity by members of the Ukrainian diaspora here in the San Francisco Bay Area who had come to the Bay Area, had built very successful careers in tech, and created this organization as a means to give back to their home country. And basically, they created it with 3 main goals in mind: provide humanitarian aid, strengthen and embolden Ukrainian civil society, and of course, just educate the US and the broader world about Ukraine. Obviously, since the outbreak of the war, 100% of our efforts and focus have gone to humanitarian aid. And similar to what Anastasia said, this is a conflict very close to us. We all have friends, family members, and loved ones in Ukraine. And critically, we understand that sending aid and packages is one thing, but infrastructure and logistics is the most important factor in delivering aid. And because we've worked in Ukraine since 2014, because we have partners and people on the ground, because we know members of the government and civil society, we've been able to build these supply chains that can deliver food, water, basic supplies, critical medicines and medical supplies to besieged cities like Kyiv, Kharkiv, Mykolaiv, and Kherson, and ever expanding. So we're very excited about this project and this opportunity, because it will continue to enable it to support us to deliver these critical supplies and expand our impact. I should also mention, though our priority is on delivering these much needed and critical supplies to Ukraine, we are also working not only in Europe, but across the United States to help refugees with food, shelter, and then legal and relocation assistance. So we're very thankful to be here. We're thankful to this whole community and really excited for this conversation. Thank you.
That's awesome. No, thank you so much. And thank you and your organization for leaning in. So kind of back to Marco and to Daniel to talk a little bit about, what is that backend piece that we've set up? I know there's a website. I've heard, OpenSea link, like what is the OpenSea? And I've heard things like the term gas, didn't know that was a thing. And Nova Ukraine, obviously you participated in that. But again, as a newbie to this, love to kind of have you guys unpack that a little bit more and figure out how, people can kind of lean in and what's set, how folks can kind of get involved.
Sure. Maybe we should just spend a minute and talk about the process, the overall process,
the basics.
Yeah, exactly. using what we're doing fundamentally is creating NFTs with artists from the Ukraine. We will be minting those NFTs, which means publishing them, to an open marketplace called OpenSea.io. And we will be then allowing them to be purchased using cryptocurrency. All of the money will go to Nova Ukraine to then be translated to fiat, to in real life funds, and then benefit the people of Ukraine. That's the basic supply chain. Within that, we're using blockchain from OpenSea. The gas tax that you mentioned, Brad, is part of the Ethereum network, which is a tax that allows it to keep running. But we're actually going to use Polygon, which is a branch that will has no gas tax.
Very cheap.
Exactly. The idea is that each NFT is actually backed by a smart contract that sits in the blockchain that dictates who owns it, who gets what from the sale of the NFT, and if it's sold on, who's going to get money from the sell on? Because if you get an NFT, you might want to sell it on. The benefit of this is that it's fully transparent, much like this group that's come together. Everything is transparent within the process, and everything will continue to be transparent because we have a Discord server that will start to document where we are with the process, where we are with NFTs, feedback from the community, and also we'll be able to start putting up, how these things are actually realizing benefit within Ukraine. The concepts that we're employing are full transparency, which is exactly what Web3 is supposed to be. Decentralized, fully transparent, community run.
Yep.
Super.
And I'm not sure if we need to kind of let people know that they will need to have purchased Ethereum or I'm sorry, probably move it over to Polygon, and what that process will be in order to, make these purchases. And
we'll probably need to, on the somethingbigger.io, put some instructions up there so people, kind of, person on the street can figure out how that kind of works, or what they actually need to do. What's that 1, 2, 3 steps? The other thing that struck me as kind of new here, as we all came together and started collaborating, was the funding nature of what we're doing. So obviously I've heard of NFTs, I've heard of blockchain, I see it going. I didn't totally understand all the details of it, obviously learning a lot more. But as I see this, the fundraising aspect, I've not seen that done before. Usually it felt like it was more of a, how can I make money? How can I trade? How can I sell? And, move forward and that. And so elaborate a little bit more on, kind of the nature of this. It feels like this is kind of cutting some new ground here.
I mean, and Daniel, as we've done all the way through, correct me where you disagree, and we'll put a poll up. But to me, the difference between what we're doing here and what is traditionally done with fundraising is you give some money to a black box, and that black box does something with it. To me, what we're actually doing is we're fully transparent as to what's happening to the money that's coming into Nova Ukraine, and they're able to actually feed back exactly where that money went. And Daniel, I know you have something to add to that. There's some messages coming through in chat. Brad, your microphone is rubbing against your collar.
Okay, thank you.
That's what that was.
Sorry.
No, don't be sorry. I just wanted to make sure.
Appreciate that.
Thought I would let you know. And I hope I haven't interrupted the flow. Daniel, would you agree?
Yeah, I agree. I think there's a lot of advantages to the way that we're doing it, actually. Whereas if you're doing just a regular fundraiser where you make a contribution, it goes into a black box, and that's it, it's done, you've raised the funds. With the way that we're doing it with the NFTs, the initial primary sale mint, which is what you purchased the NFT for, goes towards Nova Ukraine in this case, towards Ukraine. Now, there's also ongoing help when those are traded on the secondary market through royalties. Those royalties will continue to help as long as those NFTs are traded. And it's like a continuing fundraiser when people trade these between themselves. And we or Nova Ukraine or anybody don't have to be really involved in doing that except for keeping the community. So those funds of the ongoing secondary market assist in keeping the community going instead of just like a one-off come in, write a check and leave type of situation. This is something that can last as long as the community themselves want it to last. In addition to that, we have other opportunities that don't exist in regular fundraising. We can use these NFTs to create a DAO, which is a decentralized like voting mechanism where we can put up a poll and we could ask anybody that owns an NFT to put their vote in. And if we get quorum and enough votes come in, then we can make it so if we want. And not to mention with NFTs, we can add utility too. If you hold this NFT, we're going to do an airdrop. We're going to give you something from the president of Ukraine, or Mila Kunis is going to sign something for you, or, things like that we can incorporate into this project, and you will have blockchain ownership of those things where nobody can take it away from you. It's not a trophy on your wall where only you get to see it when you're home. This is something you can display on your Web3 presence. Like if you own like a 3D space, like I own like 5 of them, I can go display it on my wall. And when I invite other people to my server, they can see that, So it's almost like I like to explain it like it's a blue check mark on Twitter. Would I rather have a trophy on my wall, or would I rather have a blue check mark on Twitter? A lot more people will see that blue check mark and know what it means, as opposed to, hey, I want a triathlon. I mean, hey, I'd love to win the triathlon. Don't get me wrong, but I want to show it off. So that's another aspect of NFTs and Web3 that a lot of new people don't quite understand yet. It's that flex, it's that show off. My sweater here, this sweater represents my profile picture, which is valued at $300,000-$400,000. People on the internet see that and go, wow, this guy has been in for a long time. This guy knows what he's doing. This guy's heavily involved in the metaverse and NFTs. So it's that, hey, I helped Ukraine. I contributed. Here's my proof in the blockchain. You can turn it into art. You can turn it into a canvas. You can put it on your wall. You can paint it on the side of a building. Many, many different things you can do.
I also wanted to chime in and add more context where our solution, where something bigger.io as organization comes in from. So when it comes to fundraising for nonprofits right now, there are several issues. First of all, if a nonprofit raises capital through fundraiser on Facebook, for example, or some other donation systems, it might take up to months to a month and a half for money to land charity's bank account. And in situations like a war or other emergencies, you need money to be there, ready to be deployed in a form of aid right away. That's why where we see solution of having cryptocurrency forms of donation and instant transactions being so important, which something was not there before. Another thing is the approach of people, kind of the psychology behind people donating. Often people donate from the sense of sadness and guilt. They see something bad is going on. They saw a negative picture, of war on the internet. We want to flip that narrative and say that what's happening right now, it is an urgent cause. But at the same time, even when the thing's going to calm down, there still will be a lot that needs to be done afterwards. And you, by participating in something like that, by getting an NFT, you're basically becoming a donor, almost a founding father or mother of something that's gonna keep rebuilding the country, that's going to keep helping people afterwards. So it's not just that immediate help. You are becoming an owner in a movement where you can talk to our community on Discord. You can see everything that we're doing. You can see what charity is doing, what artists are doing. It's very personal. you can be the part of it beyond just by giving money and forgetting about it.
Yeah, I mean, you bring up a really good point. And what I'm hearing you say is it's beyond the news cycle, right? We're all accustomed to the news cycle, what's happening now, and then click over to something else and people quickly forget because it's not top of the news cycle. Once we finally get through and it becomes peaceful again, there's going to be a lot significant rebuilding needed, right? So obviously, for people to be participating in that now and continue to participate, I think makes a significant amount of sense. And I think it's a shift in a way to think about it. So not just sadness, but really participate in the future, but participate now. So that's a super great point. Cormac, can you speak a little bit about, as these funds, obviously right now, the needs are going to be, I'll call them kind of real-time significant humanitarian needs, like, food, shelter, keeping people warm, keeping people, moved around or helping them to get out of the country.
Yes.
But then beyond that, when it starts to become rebuilding, how will your mission change, or will your focus or your lens change a little bit? Or tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, of course. And just building off what Anastasia said, the great thing about this community is just how fast the funds can get into the hands of those who need it. I know, people familiar, I'm sure, with the platform Benevity, which is the platform most big tech companies use that'll do the donation match or something like that. And those donations usually take about a month to get to us. And obviously in the current crisis, funds are needed quick and fast. So that's why we're so excited about this project. And then of course, with things constantly changing on the ground, our first priority is just get critical help and support to those who need it. And then building off what Anastasia said, of course, we're all praying for a quick end to this conflict, but the damage and destruction of this conflict has obviously been running over, close to $2 billion. So I think when we can shift the need from immediate survival and support, the focus, we're still building out, but then we'll fall back on that building civil society, work with the organizations in these communities that are being devastated, find out what their needs are, and support those communities. And we're hoping we can shift that priority, I pray, very soon.
Great, that's great. And we really appreciate, the work that's going on. It's significant, we know now, and just having the flexibility to kind of be able to move the mission a little bit. I think it might make some sense to open up to a few questions and see kind of, getting some audience participation. So Ashley, if you see some questions that, could be good, I think if you guys all take a look in the chat. And also, I assume you can hear me okay now that I've eliminated this mic issue. Great. And then there's a QA. So there's a question and answer section. And also there might be some questions in the chat. So let's all kind of take a quick look at that. And just one question to kind of think about is, implications of action now, which is what we're doing, and implications of not doing anything, right? Because obviously, this is going to be a long tail situation. And, for us to lean in to do something now, obviously working with, Nova Ukraine, you guys are making things happen. But if we sit back and do nothing, I mean, if I did, 3 weeks ago, I didn't know anything about this. I knew it was on the news cycle, tune in, I would say, wow, that's really bad, move on to the next, because I didn't know what I could do. But I feel like this gives people an opportunity. So but any participation in that on how people can really, lean in? I mean, I know we want people to get onto somethingbigger.io.
And the audience can raise their hand and I can unmute them. So if there's anybody's got a live question, happy to address those on the fly.
Super.
The raise hand icon is at the very bottom margin. So kind of in the center of the screen. Just simply raise your hand. I'll be looking for that, and then I'll unmute you so you can ask your question.
Brett, I also wanted to add a point to everybody who is listening, who is not too close to Ukraine, just to bring a little bit more awareness of how it may affect the whole world. I don't know if somebody saw on the news or not, but a few days ago, Ukrainian nuclear plant was on fire. And if you guys know about Chernobyl, this nuclear plant that was on fire is 5 times larger than Chernobyl. And it would be the damage, if something would happen to that nuclear plant, and luckily our government in Ukraine was able to put the fire down, but it would create a cloud that would affect with radiation the whole world, and it would be devastating. So if you're right now on the edge, thinking like Ukraine is somewhere far away, and I mean, of course, everybody feels compassionate and wants to help. Just want to emphasize how important that help is. It's not just about people in Ukraine. It's really about everybody else and the safety of us as humanity.
That's a great point. That's a great point. Yeah, I think people don't realize the implication. I mean, there've been even, obviously that's a, global, environmental issue, but also obviously there's been supply chain issues. I mean, there's a lot of manufacturing that goes on in Ukraine, and then with Ukraine being, relatively mostly shut down, then it's having ripple effect throughout automotive and a lot of industrial industries, because people can't get their parts or can't get things, keep their processes going, keep their businesses running, because they're missing out key or core critical elements to their business and their process.
So Gene, we do have one question that is a really good one about what website and how do we get access? How does the audience get access to the website where they can actually do the donations? Do we want to post that on the chat window, a hyperlink or something that would give the audience what's the next step that would allow these people to actually participate?
Super. Well, it's a couple things. I mean, first off, we started a website, which is somethingbigger.io. So we can obviously post that link into the chat. So one of the participants can, or I can easily put that into the chat, and that's a beginning state. And that's really where everything's going to happen. That's going to be the focal. And so people will have an opportunity to either sign up for updates there through email. They'll also be able to see the art as it's getting posted, and be able to start to kind of participate in that or bid on it. And that's going to be an ongoing thing. I heard some talk of, school children potentially, putting some art there in addition to some artists and some potentially named artists. We're also having some conversation with some celebrities to see about what they might be interested in participating with, as it relates to NFTs. There's also some talk of some, potential video with some celebrities. So there's a few different things going on that could be some really interesting assets that will be posted there. But that's really the place to look.
And Anastasia, there's also, if you look in the QA window at the bottom margin, you'll see a question tagged to you. We can answer today, or we can follow up later.
I can do a quick answer to that. Thank you, Matt, for the question. So just for everybody who is listening, the question is around manufacturing facilities for textiles in Ukraine, and if we're doing something on that realm. I'm gonna answer it with a little broader answer. As somebody who is deeply involved in the Ukrainian business ecosystem, beyond the humanitarian help to people, we have a separate initiative. It's called Relocate for businesses who are right now escaping Ukraine, and also a lot of businesses are escaping Russia and Belarus. There's a lot of tech startups, a lot of manufacturers, a lot of small businesses that really trying to save what they've been creating for years. And to help them, we established an initiative with a lot of consultants, VC firms, independent professionals, lawyers, immigrant officers, also government of Chile, government of Mexico, that will help these people to navigate the crisis and find a new home and a new market for their business. So beyond helping, the first thing that we need to address is helping people, but after that, we're also doing a lot to help businesses and rebuild the economy as well.
Yep, that's great. That's great. I mean, obviously getting the local economy going and be able to help and, support, yes, the people, but then, oh, by the way, as the country gets rebuilt, we're going to have to support the people and the country's rebuilding, which is going to affect the economy and the jobs and help the whole place to kind of come back. So also be something that in, the future out years, we're all going to want to go, frankly, on holiday to Ukraine to support the economy, is another thing that I think would be significant and very important to do. So that's super helpful. And the art, I know the artist community is coming together. I think that's local. Then there also will be some Ukrainian artists that will also potentially participate, or is that potentially too much duress because they're in the middle of trying to kind of keep themselves safe?
So I would say we haven't been able to engage anybody who is in Ukraine. We've engaged several people who flee Ukraine that are right now in Poland and Moldova. And of course, it's extremely hard, especially as they are artists, they're creatives, for them to create something, especially with the focus on peace, because it is way too close to their hearts right now. But what I would say is fascinating that we have a lot of Russian artists who reached out, and all of them are against the war. All of them want to have peace. And a lot of them have families in Ukraine as well, and they just want to be part of it, regardless of nationality.
Yep, no, it makes sense. And yeah, so I think it's tremendous, the outreach, and also just, again, having, the Russian community also to come forward. Obviously, not every, they're not in support of the war, but they want to help the effort to rebuild and the effort for peace. I think we all ultimately want peace. So no, that's fantastic. And any additional kind of thoughts or inputs? I don't want to kind of keep us on if we have, topics to go deeper into. Tremendous, but, no reason to kind of keep it extended unless there's, topics to explore, things to explain. So,
Brad, I think it would be good to kind of summarize what the follow-up is, because I know we have another event we're trying to plan. We'd love to get the audience's advice, the folks here. What would it take to get these folks interested to participate on round 2? And I've also been hearing in the background, where will they be able to see the actual art when it is getting after it's been created and it's available to be viewed?
Do you want to deal with the last question first?
Sure. In terms of next steps, so we're planning a second phase. So the part 2 of this will probably occur in the next month to 6 weeks. We'll basically be able to check in on once the art's been put out and the NFTs are out there, and kind of what the progress has been, how many pieces we have, how much money has been generated. Hopefully by then money will have gotten into people's hands. We'll work with Nova Ukraine on, here are the results. Here's what your funds have done. Here's how it's helped people. So we'll be able to show some of those types of results. And we'll kind of continue that process as we move forward. This is really the launch, the beginning, but really the work begins now, which is to get this art out there and have people start, to
basically going to somethingbigger.com is really the next step for the attendees.
Yes.
When they hang up from today's call, go to that website. And Marco, you can explain that.
.io.
Yeah,
.io, sorry.
It's in the chat.
Yeah.
Somethingbigger.io is the place to start. As the NFTs become available, you'll be able to join the Discord server. Actually, you should do that as well, which is all linked through somethingbigger.io. Join the Discord server, be part of the community. We'll start blasting out messages to everyone in the community. When NFTs are going to be available, you could see them as well as all of the contracts that back them on OpenSea.io. There'll be at least one collection, which is how you group NFTs on OpenSea, that everyone can go to and see the artwork and purchase. And at that point, it's the money starts flowing. So tell all your friends.
I was going to say the next thing too is take this link. If you got everybody on the call who wants to really participate, go to your LinkedIn profile, promote the event on your own LinkedIn page, and provide the link. This is the best way to get this expanded, and then the other social circles that you work in, advertise it there as well.
Yep. Agreed. That's great. That's great. So those are the tactical steps, and that's what people can do. So the website's there, and obviously you'll be able to see kind of the progress and what more can be done. Any other questions or thoughts to kind of add in? Anything from the chat?
I think the chat's pretty clean so far. Any other questions, just raise your hand or type in.
Anything else we want to inform the audience about, or as we're kind of moving forward? I think we really kind of hit it, pretty good.
I guess there's I guess there's that thing that we spoke about that I just landed right before the panel started. I'm speaking with a play to earn metaverse company in Decentraland about some sort of assistance or partnership, if you will. And they have about 10,000 users every day on their platform. And I'd like to see what they can bring to the table. So there's opportunity for the people who, you know, participate with us to be involved with them as well, and kind of get some exposure to what play to earn is. Essentially, it's you go on to a metaverse, or you go on to like a Web3 video game, and you can play and you get paid. Like, there's no cost, it just pays you in crypto. So on our next call, I should have some progress on that. And so be on the lookout for that as well, everybody.
Perfect. Well, I think we'll probably wrap up, and I wanted to just thank everybody for participating. This has been really helpful to, you know, kind of get the word out. There'll be more to come and more news. So please tune into the site, and Yvonne and Carol have been tremendous from ACG to provide this platform and this opportunity. And I want to thank, you know, Anastasia for inspiring all of us and really kind of pulling us in the direction. Marco, tremendous help and effort from the Microsoft side. Cormac, from obviously you're going to be kind of taking this and moving us to the last mile stuff. And Daniel, tremendous work on getting the server stood up. And Ashley, of course, for being air traffic control for the day. So I really, really appreciate all that. Yvonne, thoughts?
Thank you to everyone. Really appreciated having you on there. Keep sharing the links, and stay tuned. Keep looking on LinkedIn for more updates, and we will see you very soon. And heart goes out to everyone, and we got this.
All right.
Cheers. Thank you all.
Bye.
Thank you, everybody.